Hello! So, Set 14 has been out for around a week. People are getting used to the different units, playing different comps. People are starting to recognize what goes in where, how the traits kind of work out. What I want to do is just a little brief tier list where I kind of talk about the traits, how I think they're shaping out in the current meta, and I'm also going to try and do a little bit something different this time. While I try to talk about the traits, I'm also going to point out like the primary carries and try and rank those primary carries on a tier list as well. This is mostly just for fun, for discussion. It's not meant to be anything super aggressive of me saying this comp is the best, this comp is the worst, this comp is unplayable, etc. But it's just like kind of like something that I want to look at because I'm kind of myself right now going through a lot of numbers, trying to like reflect on how the balance and how the units are shaping out to be, and I think that's something really important to do at the start of a set. If you like my content, make sure to like and subscribe. This is a more for fun video. I had a very stressful day. If you didn't know, my computer blew up last week. That's why the audio and all of the shit on these videos is so shit. That's why the thumbnails even look bad. I basically went out today, bought a bunch of parts because my motherboard was dead, so like I can't even salvage my old PC. So please make sure to like and subscribe, right? If you watch an ad, that's one ad that helps me in recuperating the huge debt that I have to undergo to replace my whole rig. But it's fine. I'm super thankful to everybody that supports the channel, and thank you for sticking around, even though like the content has been a little bit off these last couple weeks. But anyways, let's get straight into it now. Enough of intro. I'm rambling. Anima Squad. Anima Squad, solid A tier. Anima Squad actually got a little bit of a nerf, but I still think it's one of the better traits that you can play around. Anima Squad, a lot of times you want to play in a super vertical way, so it's not super flexible, right? Like 3 Anima and 5 Anima, I usually, like, they can tempo your mid game, actually, so it's not even that unflexible. It's just that a lot of times if you're playing Anima Squad, 7's the way to go. The units themselves, if we're thinking about the carries, I don't think Xayah or Leona or any of these units are particularly broken. Like, Xayah to me seems like maybe A or B, depending on how you feel about it. It's gonna be hard to rank them because I might rank a couple 5 costs, but like I would say it's something that looks like this. Like Leona has the potential to be really tanky. A lot of times Leona's hard to deal with in some games, but I look at them kind of like this, the Anima units, and that's why I kind of average out to A. Basically, if you can hit Aurora with this comp and you're playing vertical Anima, it becomes like Giga S tier. If you can't hit Aurora really easily, it kind of feels a little bit awkward. Like you don't need to hit Aurora, but if you can build like your board around like, you know, Aurora with other 5 costs, or if you have an emblem, it works out really nicely. So like something like this, and then you can fit in like your Renekton's and your Viegos, basically all like the 5 costs that didn't get nerfed in the last patch. That makes it a lot more fun, I think. But then if you're forced to play like some other units that don't synergize super well, then you need a lot of levels in order to make things work. That's why it's only A tier, but it's really consistent, it's really strong. Boombots I think is like C tier. I don't think, like, even 2 Boombot, like, Boombot never really does anything. Like, if you think about the units, like Urgot's pretty good, right? I'd put him in, like, B or A. He's not really, like, a carry. He's more of, like, a utility unit. So I'll put him in B tier, just as, like, as I'm talking through this tier list. The other Boombot units, like, there's not really a carry, right? Like, if you think about Kog'Maw's not that strong. You usually play him more for rapid fire. You don't really care too much about the Boombot damage. Only in certain situations, if you can hit, like, 6 Boombot, he really pops off. Fiddlesticks, the comp is not that good. It's kind of temperamental as well, right? These are like situational. It's not saying they're C tier, like you don't go top 4 with them. What I'm saying is like you need a lot to make them work. Like Fiddlesticks, you need like the whole 6 bruiser, good spot for reroll. Kog'Maw, you need a good spot, and you need like rapid fire. He's not like super duper carry that you're not trying to reroll Kog'Maw 1 cost a lot of the time. And Cho'Gath as well, it's like they don't really come together well as a team is what I'm trying to say. And I think that kind of reflects in the Boombot trait. A lot of times you don't really want to play 2 or 4 Boombot. You don't even really care about it. A lot of times the units just, you play them as they are because of how strong they're. Like Urgot's a really good pull-in for Aurora because it just gives an execute. Stuff like that. Cyberboss is similar to Boombot, I would say. Right, Cyberboss, like the units themselves, like Ziggs is actually pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with where Ziggs has ended up so far. Like he seems like he's pretty good. Kabuko is good, but he's like good in a weird way because now he got nerfed a lot, so he's not like, he's kind of in that B tier like averagey kind of way. And then Veigar is really hard to get it to work, I think, so usually I put him in the same tier as like some of the other rerolls, where it's like a reroll line that you have to have a very specific spot for, so it makes it kind of awkward to play a little bit. That's what I mean with the Cyberboss units, right? When I think about the main carries and I'm trying to like think about the trait, A lot of times, like, you don't want to dedicate yourself to just playing like 4 cyber boss or 3 cyber boss. A lot of times the only time you really care about the cyber boss units or playing cyber boss is when you have a Kabuko or a Ziggs, just to make the Ziggs effect hit more units or the Kabuko effect hit more units. So like, you know, in that regard, the cyber boss trade is really cool, but I think like, you know, 4 cyber boss and like thinking about your board in terms of cyber boss units by themselves is not something that's really happening so far this set. So that's like a trait that I would like to see a little bit of like stuff going on. Cypher I think is like Giga S tier. I think this is so broken. The Cypher board, you don't really have to rank the units, but as a trait, basically, it's working out to be one of the better cash out traits. It has so much flexibility that basically you can always play it, just take your gold, take your items, and just always use that as extra resources. Getting extra golden items, it might feel really awkward, especially if you're newer to TFT, to understand how powerful Cypher is. What I'm trying to say is that because you can really flexibly get anything, getting any resource up on your opponents, the better that you are at the game, the more you'll realize how impactful that is. I don't mean that as like a gatekeepy response or anything. I'm just saying, like, you know, if you don't think of it that way, you'll start to think of it the more that you play. What makes it so broken is that like you can just put it on stage 3 or even stage 2. You don't have to play like a cyber boss board. You don't have to cash out into Zed. You don't have to cash out into Draven. You don't have to cash out into LeBlanc. You can just play it to get like a cash out of 20 gold, and with that 20 gold you're just in such a better spot relative to a lot of your opponents that it makes a lot of sense to play Cypher. So it's working out to be one of those like giga really good lose streak style traits, and even if you don't lose streak, just getting any extra resources is so impactful. And it's actually working out that it is a good amount of resources that it gives. Like so far, like the thresholds seems like it's always viable or useful to play it, at least to me. So I'm putting it in S tier. Completely opinionated. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I don't mind. You can say that it's shit, it's fine. Divinicorp, I actually like Divinicorp. I think Divinicorp is like A tier just because of its flexibility. So like if you're thinking about Divinicorp, I talked about the Divinicorp line before, and that's where you usually see Zed kind of play. I think Zed's kind of A tier. I like playing around him. It's a little bit awkward because he is a little bit matchup dependent. If your opponent has a lot of burst damage, you have to be very adaptable in how you kind of structure your board. So he's not like giga broken. He's not going to like win you the game or anything like that. But I really like it because it's just like a nice consistent melee option. And Divinicorps themselves, there's like really good units like Gragas. Like I know he's not a carry, but he would be like S tier. You know what I mean? Like just getting the splash traits in from Divinicorp, I feel like it's like the perfect size of like good amounts of stats. You know what I mean? Like the Gragas HP doesn't feel like overbearingly broken, but it feels really good to just have like the extra 50 HP from Divinicorp, like Rost as well. Even Senna with AD, like a lot of these stats, they seem like a really good number, and I think the dev team did an amazing job with it. Like maybe you don't agree, maybe you think it's like too weak, or maybe you think it's too strong, but I think like as a 1, 2, 3, 4 trait, it's pretty good, and I feel like I'm always incentivized to play it. And then even as a solo carry, like deep into Divinicorp line where you're playing a melee carry like Zed, it still feels pretty cool. So I actually like it a lot. I think it's like in that A tier strength. Exotech I think is also A tier. Zeri has jumped up in popularity. I think Zeri is like solid A tier, right? Like I actually think Zeri like is one of the better comps. Exotech is really dependent on the items, however. So if you don't have a good Zeri item, like if you don't have Pulse Stabilizer, a lot of times you have to play something else. Exotech has like that scrap element if you played set 13, where you also get like a little bit of extra HP because of extra items, and then it gives the items. It's good for tempo in your mid game. There's reroll lines around it with like Jhin and other stuff, right? Jhin I think is one of the reroll lines, is a little bit more acceptable or a little bit easier to play around, right? I think Nafari is really strong, especially in reroll. I think Jin's like somewhere up there as well. Like right, that's like a Nitro reroll style comp. So it actually has a lot of potential, I think. So you have like reroll outs, you have vertical outs, you have different uses of different items in different ways because the comp has multiple different types of carries, like auto attackers, more AD focused that just want to burst down. You have melee carries, you have AP carries. Like this trait kind of has it all. So based on your Exotech items, you can have really open-ended kind of ideas that you can play around with it, and that's starting to come into fruition a lot. Like you can see like a lot of people look at their Exotech items at the start of the game and they say, oh, I can maybe play Nafari this game, oh, I can maybe play Jhin this game, oh, I can maybe play Varus this game, oh, what if I play Zeri this game? And it's like there's so many like cool options. I think it's solid A tier. I think it's really strong, and I think people are starting to understand that, and it's starting to become a lot more popular because of that, which is cool. Got in that broken, enough said. Golden Ox I think is pretty weak. I kind of like, if I think about Golden Ox, it gives like a little bit of cash out, but I think it's in that C tier as well. There's not really a comp where you care too much about the Golden Ox. It kind of feels like bait a lot of the time. Like if you have excess gold, it makes sense to just use it into the Golden Ox. But the Golden Ox lines in particular, they don't feel insanely strong. Like obviously you can high roll and you can steamroll. If you high roll with Golden Ox, it's a trait that gives you more gold. So you can convert that win into a giga win. Sometimes like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if anybody watching this video played Golden Ox and they have like 3-star 4 cost, 3-star legendaries, and they have all sorts of crazy shit on the board, but I still don't think the trade is that good. It takes a little bit too long to get online, and the units don't really fit in a way that's meaningful to play deep into the Golden Ox trait. And then at the lower stages of Golden Ox, it doesn't really give that many stats, so it's kind of like droppable a lot of the time. Like a lot of times when you're playing it, you're like, yeah, do I really need this, right? Like a lot of times when you're playing like the carries like Viego or even Aphelios, it's like you don't really care that much, right? It's just like if it fits in, it fits in. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you know, that's what I mean. Nitro, I think Nitro's really strong. I think Nitro's in A tier as well. We don't have any B tiers. Maybe I'll put Golden Ox in B tier. I think that's fair, right? I'll move Golden Ox up one because it does have the potential to be like a steamrolly kind of thing. I don't think it's as bad as these ones. I like that. We're gonna move Golden Ox up, okay, guys? That's fair. Guys, gals, theys, thems. Nitro, I think is really strong. This T-Hex works really well. You can play Nitro in multiple ways as well, which is really cool. Oh, in terms of Golden Ox, I should rank the units a little bit. So Viego is like Giga S tier. This guy's busted as shit. Aphelios, I don't really know. It's hard to rank. I'm just going to put him in B tier because I'm unsure if he's in A tier yet, but he has been pretty good. And he got gutted, so this unit just doesn't exist anymore. And then Graves is kind of a little bit awkward. I think Graves is hard to make work, so I'll put him in C tier as well. Nitro units, I think Elise is strong, right? I think Elise is really good. I think Shyvana is really good. I think Kindred isn't as great. I don't know about Nidalee. I actually don't know about Nidalee, so I'm gonna put Nidalee in B and I'm gonna put Kindred in B. And I think that's kind of how I look at Nitro when I'm thinking about the Nitro units, in terms of like who's like a viable carry. Just to kind of give a little bit more of an illustration. But I think Nitro is really strong because you can play Nitro with Dynamo. And just like tempo it. You can play Nitro as a reroll comp primarily. It has a lot of flexibility, so even though it feels like it's very reroll and it's very like hit these 3-star units, there's actually a lot of tempo lines that work really well with it, so it gives it a nice flexibility that feels really refreshing. And I think that's a nice little way that they have it balanced right now that I think it's kind of cool. However, it is really broken in certain cases, especially if you can free 3-star everybody. So like a lot of you might be playing it and it might feel like it's S tier and you just like hard force it and win every game. A lot of it's just like the shaping of the meta, right? Now that like the main strategist comp is broken, a lot of people are just forcing towards a lot of rerolls, and the rerolls are having more success and yada yada yada. Overlord, I think Overlord's like whatever. I'm gonna put in B tier. I don't think it's that crazy. Soul Killer I think is good. A, that's the Viego trait. Renekton I think is really strong though, right? Just in general, he's just a really strong unit. I'm gonna put him in A tier. I don't think he's as broken as Viego. Maybe he is. I'll put him in S tier. Fuck it. We're having fun today. Street Demon I think is really strong. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Playing towards vertical Street Demon is usually really good. It's also really nice as a splash trait. So a lot of times whenever you have the potential and you have to ask yourself, do I play Street Demon? Just giving your whole team a little bit of extra HP is actually pretty meaningful. So I'm a big believer in Street Demon, even at the lower levels, like 3-5, it's really nice. And then even playing vertical Street Demon, I think there's a good variety of carries that gives you options of reroll, options for 4 costs, options for 5 costs. I would have liked to see like another AD carry, but Jinx is there, and I think Jinx, I actually am a believer in Jinx. I think she's really good at holding certain items. Like if you have a Runans or Runans Augment, I think that's like a really good option to tempo around this comp if you have like an early Jinx. So, you know, maybe that's just me though. Syndicate I think is A tier as well. Syndicate's really good. I think that it's nice because like there's different ways to play it, right? You can play towards 5 Syndicate. You can play the reroll lines. I think TF is fucking broken. I think this unit is so good as a reroll unit. Honestly, it might be an S tier. Maybe he's in A tier. MF is definitely an A tier. I think this MF unit, I'm a big MF believer. Maybe I'm wrong for that, but I'm a big MF believer. So, you know, don't at me. Don't at me, everybody. Oh, I didn't talk about Senna. Senna, I think, is A tier as well. So this Senna unit is busted. Not in the sense of rerolling. Oh, we didn't get to Executioners yet, so I'll leave the Varus. Zac, I think, is actually pretty mid. I'm going to put Zac in B tier. He actually seems pretty shit. Like, he gives a lot of frontline if he scales up, but he really doesn't feel that good a lot of the time to play. So, I don't know. Amp also seems a little bit like, I don't know where it falls right now. I'm going to put in B tier because I don't think it's overly broken that you're always trying to play towards. More like a nice to have. Especially since all the nerfs to like Annie Samira, the whole amp line is a little bit like awkward to kind of cap out around. These ones are all like whatever. They're all mid, right? Bastion, Bruiser, who really cares? Dynamo, I think the Dynamo board is really strong, right? Playing around 4 Dynamo. We already talked about MF and Elise being really strong. Like, if you look here, there's, like, at least in my opinion, there's a lot of the Dynamo units that are really high up in terms of, like, how strong I think they are as, like, solo carries as a board or, like, part of a stronger board that you want to play. So, I'm a believer in it for sure. Executioner, I think, is also A tier. The Executioner reroll line, I think this Rengar unit is fucking broken. I don't think he's S tier, though. I think he's A tier. And Varus is also really broken. He's, like, in the same spot if you're playing Executioners as this Rengar. Like, these units, they actually pop the fuck off. So, like, this is actually a really strong trait. So, I think it kind of falls in that same tier. We might have to put more things in B tier. I don't really have a D tier. But I don't think anything is really badly balanced. Like, maybe Boombot you can lower a little bit. But, like, it's not that crazy. Marksman, I think Marksman is on the rise. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to put it at the top of B tier. It's not ordered really, but like I can't really decide if I put in A tier or B tier. I'm going to make that very clear to everybody. I can't really decide because sometimes Marksman looks crazy and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it looks crazy, but then sometimes it doesn't. When you're playing around Marksman, a lot of the units, they don't feel crazy on their own. Like, if you play solo Xayah as a carry, like, Anima makes sense with solo Xayah because a lot of times you're using it as a tempo resource to get to Aurora, and then it falls off really hard if you don't have the Aurora. If you're playing, like, Xayah Aphelios, I think the line works out really well, but I don't think individually either unit is like crazy. It's kind of like you need both of them to kind of work. So that's why it's hard for me to judge, because it's like if you're playing a game and you're like, I need both my 4-cost carries online in order to like survive, it's like, yeah, but like, isn't that bad? Like, I can't tell. And it might just be because of my lack of playing experience because my computer's busted and I'm watching a lot more than I'm playing. You know, I played like maybe a couple normals and that's it. But like, or not normals, like I played like a couple games and that's it. And I'm using a lot of like prior experience, but it's hard to tell for me, right? I would need to play like 10 hours of Xayah Aphelios in order to have a proper opinion on how strong they are individually versus together. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. Rapidfire I think is pretty mid as a trait. You really don't want to play more than 2 Rapidfire ever, it feels like. So I think it's kind of B. Right? If you think about the rapid fire units, a lot of times if you're playing Zeri, you really only want to play 2 rapid fire. You don't really care about the other ones because you want to put a Gwynsu on her. And the same thing applies to a lot of the other rapid fire units, right? Twisted Fate, you'd rather play deeper into Syndicate, so you're not really going to play around Twisted Fate, you know what I mean? Slayer I think is good. I think Slayer is A tier as well. Slayer has really good opportunities, right? We haven't talked about Shaco yet because we're going to talk about Slayer, but I think Senna's really good. I think Zed's really good. Like, I'm a Zed believer. Maybe that's my own opinion. I think Shaco is a little bit more circumstantial, but he doesn't feel like crazy circumstantial like some of the other reroll units. So maybe that's just me though. But I think he also has really good use because you can use him to tempo, right? You don't have to reroll Shaco, but he does get stronger as the game goes on. So a lot of times, if you have him early and you have a lot of stacks on stage 2, if you don't feel like rerolling Shaco, you can still have like a unit that just does more work in your stage 3, and I think that's really strong. Like, yeah, he actually seems like he's good at that role. Strategist, I think is, I want to put in A tier, but I think I'm going to put in B tier right now. The Strategist line itself got nerfed a lot, but Strategist is still really strong as a trait in general. Oh, I didn't talk about Vex and Executioner. I think Vex is B tier. She's like just outside of being able to do crazy damage. So like at one point she will. And then I think Zac is like maybe B or C tier. I'm going to put him in C tier because as a 5 cost, it feels really awkward to play him. Oh, and then Samira. I think Samira is like B tier. I don't think she's A tier anymore, in my opinion. Like, I don't think she's like giga broken, but she's like still good. Then who was I talking about? I was talking about, let me go back. What did I just rank? Strategist. Did I rank them already? I think I ranked them all already. Oh, that's why I don't see them. It's just Nico. I think the Strategist like board, if you play like vertical Strategist, it's kind of not as strong, but the trait is still really good. Actually, you know what? The trait's still really good. I'm gonna move it into A tier. Like the thing is, like, Strategist got nerfed a lot, but like it wasn't even the Strategist units that got nerfed, right? Like Ziggs and vertical Strategist or playing around Strategist like with Nico Echo is still really good for frontline. So I'll put in A tier. Techie I think is secret broken. I'm gonna put in A tier as well. I'm gonna have to separate these a little bit. Chat, I'm gonna separate them a little bit, okay? because we have too many in A tier. I'm going to space it out. Okay, chat? We're spacing it out. And then I'll just put Vanguard in the same thing. We'll talk about Techie in a second. Now, let's space them out a little bit. I think Anima Squad is better than Divinicorp. I think Exotech Nitro, Soul Killer is good. Street Demon, I think, is a little bit worse. Syndicate, I think, is good. Dynamo, I'll put a little bit lower because I think the trait isn't as crazy. Strategist, I'll put one lower. And Slayer, I'll put one lower. Okay? We spaced it out a little bit. It's easier to read. So if anybody was watching the video and they tuned out by now, I'm sorry. If you see it now, this is what it looks like. I don't think I'm going to space out the units, though. It's too much work. But anyways, Techie is actually kind of secretly really good. Because the thing about Techie is, like, it always applies its damage debuff, right? So if you get hit by a Techie ability, you deal 10% less damage for 3 seconds. So if you have a unit that does multiple casts or has a good AoE, it actually feels like it's kind of impactful. So you always want to play something like 2 Techie, right? Like if you're playing Viego, if you're playing like Fiddle, if you're playing Brand, like it doesn't matter who you're playing or who you're trying to carry, you always want to play at least 2 Techie if you have a Techie unit on your board, because it's just good team-wide damage debuff. Like it's just good to have. Additionally, 8 Techie and 6 Techie are both secretly pretty maybe not secretly, but they feel really strong. You can actually fit in really strong boards with like around like some of the cyber boss units, or just playing around Viego. If you have 8 Techie Viego or 6 Techie Viego, this unit already is like giga broken in my opinion. It, like, you know, basically, like there was a board like the Strategist amp board where it played Viego, it played Kabuko, and it played Samira, and they axed Kabuko, not that much, right? But Kabuko is not what he used to be. He's like significantly less tankier. Sometimes he dies before he even gets a cast off. I've seen it happen, which is absurd considering how strong he was before. But that's fine, right? That's just how the balance is. I'm okay either way. I'm indifferent. Samira seems like significantly worse, but she's still playable. She's still strong, but she just doesn't seem like what she used to be, like especially not stable on 1 star. This Viego unit, however, holy, like they didn't touch him at all. He is so fucking strong. He just jumps in the back line, and then he jumps again, and then he jumps again. He just deletes the board. And if you play into Techie, like it's actually a high cap. Like it's actually a massively high cap. You can win lobbies with it. It's a little bit risky. Like the journey getting there is hard because you don't have a lot of front line. You're playing a lot of like AP focused units, so your items might turn out to be weird if you don't get AP items. But I still think it's like in that A tier. So this is just my general opinion. When I'm thinking of boards, I'm thinking of units that I want to play, and I'm thinking about general strength. This is like my kind of like impression. Like I said, nothing set in stone. A lot of these are very easily shiftable, right? Like if you want to say Leona's here, if you want to say Zaya's here, if you want to say Urgot's here, if you want to say Urgot here, right? Plus or minus 1 tier, right? All of these plus or minus 1 tier, right? Anima could be S, Anima could be B, Anima could be A. It's not C, right? It's not D. Like, you know, move it around based on your own experience and what you like to play and how you enjoy playing it. But I just wanted to make a little bit of a like this type of video. Usually when I do these tier list videos, we're kind of ending the video now, but as we do these tier list videos, it's usually when I have a really stressful day and stuff. I spent all day and all of last night studying for PC parts. I call it studying because I'm a bit out of tune with like the new architectures and all of that, because it's been a while since I've done like anything computer related, because I bought my PC at the start of COVID. And I'm just like rapidly trying to figure out, okay, let me see what the thermals are on this one. Let me see what the overclock stability, what the best RAM is for this, so that I can stabilize it after and retune it and set it up. Let me see what case fits. Also, I don't have enough room in my fucking room. Also, this is completely irrelevant to the video, but like it took me forever to find a case that fits on my fucking shelf. You know how tilting that is? Anyways, I spent all day buying PC parts, so no time to make a PowerPoint. This is the video that you guys get. Hopefully it was informative. Hopefully it was fun. Hopefully you kind of have like, hopefully this gives you like a little bit of an idea of like, you know, what units might be a little bit more interesting or fun to play or strong to play, while also hearing my justifications for it. Even if you agree or disagree with me, at least you can kind of hear a little bit of reasoning on how I kind of approach the game and think about the game, and that might help you in your ability to analyze and look at the game. That's like the whole point of this. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and see ya. Bye bye.